Caitlin Clark is no longer there, not hurt, and not sleeping. Fans are going crazy after hearing just minutes ago that the WNBA had subtly shifted her out of the spotlight. The strangest aspect, though, is that Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull burst in a way that no one could have predicted the moment this made news. No more being quiet or being polite. They showed no restraint. And what they disclosed is internally upending the league as a whole. The benching of a single player is not the only issue here. Power, favoritism, media manipulation, and a league caught red-handed attempting to manipulate its stars are all at play here. The internet exploded when Sophie and Lexi came forward and revealed the truth. Furthermore, the current situation has the potential to permanently alter the WNBA. This story is just getting started, so you had better buckle up. There was a whisper in the beginning. Her name then disappeared from the starting lineup. The media then observed that she wasn't warming up. No official statement, no injury report, just gone. The WNBA's biggest rookie star, Caitlin Clark, abruptly left the league in what fans are describing as the most mysterious absence in league history. In a matter of minutes, conjecture spread like wildfire. According to some insiders, it was load management. Others alluded to disciplinary grounds. The kicker is this, though. The same sources acknowledged that something didn't feel right. Far away. As this wasn't your typical benching. No regulations have been broken by Caitlin. She hadn't been absent from practice. She hadn't done a bad job. She was actually leading her team in headlines, assists, and points. Therefore, why would the WNBA cut the one player who was attracting a lot of new fans, filling arenas, and driving ratings all by himself? The leaks followed. Unspoken disputes between Clark and senior league executives started to surface, according to league insiders. Everyone in authority didn't like her outspoken demeanor, her refusal to remain silent during post-game interviews, and her increasing social media impact. She was no longer merely a player. She was a voice and a phenomenon. And that annoyed a few executives. According to one especially damaging rumor, Caitlin criticized league marketing choices in a closed-door meeting, accusing them of being tone-deaf and disconnected from true fans. Her minutes began to decline after 48 hours. After 72 hours, she was benched. And she's essentially gone now. There was a chilly, silent blackout without a press conference, media access, or statement from her team, as if they were attempting to stop her momentum before it got out of control. However, the WNBA was completely mistaken if they believed that no one would notice. Because they became loud, and fans didn't just notice. On social media, the hashtag number became viral. Caitlin, where are you? Answers were requested by thousands. Angry messages swamped the comment sections. NBA players also voiced their opinions, describing the action as dishonest, cunning, and disrespectful to the sport. It was made worse by the league's silence. But silence was no longer the only thing at stake. It has to do with keeping quiet. Then Sophie Cunningham took over, and everything was different. Cunningham, Sophie, didn't wait. Sophie was furious as supporters poured their anger into the league's inbox and reporters frantically sought explanations. She avoided the typical cliches and startled everyone with a verbal bomb during a heated post-game interview. You wouldn't ignore your biggest star unless you were afraid of her influence. The WNBA's public relations team had little influence over the speed at which that one remark spread. Videos of Sophie's audacious appeal went viral on all social media platforms. She continued after that. Sophie referred to it as retaliation on her podcast, at team meetings, and even during live broadcasts. She claimed that the WNBA was manipulating players' careers for political ends. She attacked the league for prioritizing control over advancement. She also expressed something that most athletes were too scared to say in public. Clark wasn't benched because of basketball. Her supporters immediately came together in support of her. Movements emerged from hashtags. Free Clark's number and Sophie's number started to trend together. Her bravery ignited a fire that the league had never anticipated, and the flames quickly spread. However, Sophie didn't have to stand by herself for long since the very next day. Lexi Hull took the initiative and declared that she was prepared for battle as well. There was no statement posted by Lexi Hull. She didn't participate in an interview. "If Caitlin Clark can be treated like this, what do you think they'll do to the rest of us?" she asked as she entered the press room following practice, staring directly into the cameras. That was it. A real, unvarnished truth bomb that stunned the room and completely upended the WNBA. No nonsense, no corporate tone. A single sentence became a wildfire. The video went viral right away among WNBA fans as well as fans of other sports. All of a sudden, commentators on YouTube and ESPN were posing the same query. Lexi wasn't finished. What the devil is happening behind closed doors at the WNBA? She posted a black and white picture of herself and Caitlin with the word loyalty in the caption as a follow-up. A flurry of interpretations were sparked by that picture. Was she revealing treachery in the locker room? Was it directed towards teammates or management? The timing couldn't be disregarded, but no one could say for sure. According to sources, ever since the drama began, Lexi has been one of the most outspoken members of the team during meetings. According to one allegation that was released, she confronted the coaching staff directly, questioning why the single player that was generating sellouts was now benched. According to reports, her teammates supported her. Overnight, rumors of a fracture inside the locker room made headlines. Even more startling was Lexi's insinuation that players from several teams have been discreetly talking about the matter behind closed doors, off the record, and under increasing pressure to keep quiet. According to reports, she is assisting in the formation of a coalition of younger players who believe the league is mired in antiquated practices and who are afraid of losing everything if they voice their opinions. Then the mysterious tweets appeared. A statement that said, "If you want to build a legacy, stop silencing the ones who create it," was posted by Lexi before being removed. It was instantly screenshotted by fans. Like wildfire, it swept via fan pages, TikTok, and Reddit. Some others think it was directed specifically at WNBA executives. Others believe it was intended as a way for media personalities to minimize the scandal. However, everyone had one thing in common. Lexi wasn't merely responding. Together, she was making a stand. Lexi and Sophie had just established a front line. Additionally, the league was now dealing with a full-scale rebellion. However, the supporters weren't merely observing in silence as the athletes spoke. They were already starting their own digital uprising. The supporters started to follow Sophie and Lexi as soon as they talked. They screamed instead of merely talking. Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter all went haywire. Real-time hashtag explosions included #Justice for Clark, #Free Caitlin, and #Stop Silencing Stars. Sports discussion boards were overwhelmed. Anger-filled comments flooded WNBA postings. And in less than a day, the league was unable to ignore this narrative due to its widespread dissemination on the internet. Supporters started gathering quotes, timestamps, clips, evidence, and side-by-side comparisons of how the players were treated. Some demonstrated how Caitlin was pushed during uncalled games. Despite her outstanding results, some drew attention to the unusual decline in her minutes. Referees were shown in frozen frames ignoring blatant fouls. In recent days, fans even accused WNBA social media sites of cutting back on their coverage of Clark. The WNBA's official response, a chilly, well-polished statement, only made matters worse as fans were tearing through the internet demanding answers. When the WNBA finally spoke after almost 2 days of public outcry, it was worse than saying nothing. A well-crafted message with a corporate flavor was disseminated through their official channels. Caitlin Clark's name was omitted. It failed to recognize the controversy. It didn't even mention the mounting charges of player silence. Rather, it urged supporters to have faith in the process and attributed everything to a calculated rotating choice. The backlash came right away. It wasn't purchased by fans. Players undoubtedly didn't buy it, and neither did reporters. In actuality, the statement's wording only supported pre-existing opinions. This was a deliberate attempt to conceal a choice that had already set off a full-scale uprising. Vague language, a lack of ownership, and a complete disregard for the truth were all part of the league's PR strategy. However, this was not 2004. Fans are more intelligent. Not even social media forgets. Furthermore, attempting to spin a story this large just makes it larger. Sophie Cunningham used a subtle eye roll emoji on Twitter in response to the league's statement. In just a few minutes, just one emoji received tens of thousands of likes without a caption or additional comments. It was a clear and loud statement. "We are able to see through you." With the caption, "So, we're pretending this is normal now," Lexi Hull shared a video of the statement being read aloud. The fans loved the razor-sharp sarcasm. Even seasoned analysts began to shift. "Rotational decisions don't erase your MVP candidate without a reason," a former WNBA player tweeted. "There's another thing going on, and it's awful. And the statistics are harsh." Caitlin Clark jersey merchandise sales reportedly fell off overnight. For games she was no longer expected to play, ticket returns skyrocketed. RIP comments began to flood YouTube videos of her highlights, which is why I watched them at all. Cities were suddenly faced with empty seats after selling out arenas for the first time in years. Sponsors were also observing. Leaked sources state that before continuing their advertising, at least 2 brand partners privately contacted the league to ask for explanation. That's corporate jargon for, "Clean up this mess before we leave." The WNBA, however, doubled down. Just damage control behind the scenes while players and supporters lit up every platform at their disposal. No interview, no follow-up, no apology. However, the league was unaware of this. A dozen voices emerged to replace the one that is silenced. And that's precisely what began to happen after that. Because players were preparing to strike back from within as alliances were developing behind the closed doors of some locker rooms. Behind the scenes, a much deeper breach was developing as the WNBA attempted to mend its image with spin. Not all locker rooms were tense. They were disintegrating. Before games, players would often laugh together, but now they would murmur in corners, avoid eye contact, and wonder who was more loyal to whom. The matter was no longer merely contentious. It had radioactivity. Sources linked to several teams claimed that the league was becoming increasingly divided. Newcomers versus veterans, silence versus rebellion, and truthfulness versus badge allegiance. The seasoned experts who had spent years navigating were on one side. They were already out. They were on their feet already. However, Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham weren't done yet. Because they returned with a vengeance, just as things were beginning to calm down. Furthermore, they weren't only responding this time. They were delivering a serious warning. During a live joint interview on sports networks, Sophie and Lexi didn't flinch as they stared directly into the camera. Just the truth, without any grins or tact. The sentence that broke the internet was dropped by Sophie. "Nobody is safe if you abuse the player who created your league in this manner." It was brutal, cold, and unreservedly honest. And it was like a kick to the stomach. There was silence in the room. The reporters were taken aback. She had just mentioned more than just Caitlin, and you could sense the weight of what she had uttered. It was about them all. The league made an effort to silence every player and voice. Lexi didn't miss a beat in following up. "We've been warned not to speak for too long. No more." Boom. That was it. They had drawn the line in the sand. The message was unambiguous. The days of being afraid are past. The unwritten rules of the league are followed by the stars. Players will defend one another if the WNBA doesn't defend its members. The interview's clips went viral right away. It was dubbed the most honest moment in league history by commentators. Support surged from the crowd. NBA players clapped their hands and used fire emojis when they retweeted it. Rival WNBA players even started liking and reposting the video, some with subtly expressed sentiments like, "Finally," or "Say it louder." And the movement, it advanced to a completely new degree. Supporters started creating hashtags such as "Number Let Them Speak," "Number Players Over Politics," and "Number Save Women's Basketball." Some even launched campaigns to pressure sponsors to support the players or risk losing their funding. In-depth analyses of WNBA internal politics started to appear in independent media sites. Former athletes shared their experiences of being benched, ignored, or silenced for speaking up. All of a sudden, more than just Caitlin Clark was in the spotlight. The entire league was involved. Every executive, every rule, every tacit penalty, and every covert danger. Everything was being pulled into the spotlight. Sophie and Lexi stood in the midst of it all. Not only teammates or outs anymore.